Are you ready for this? Solving polynomial equations. And so in today's video, we're going to solve a polynomial equation. And of course we have a student, I believe Eric was asking how to solve something like x cubed plus 4x equals to 5. So how do you solve a problem like this? X cubed plus 4x equals 5. Well, first of all, let's write this in standard form. We bring everything to the left hand side, so you're going to have x cubed plus 4x and subtract 5 on both sides to write this in standard form. So we now have minus 5 equals to 0. Okay, and we can try factors of 5 as possible rational roots, p over q. Factors of q would be 1, factors of p are 5, so we're going to have plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 5. Let's try a 1. Notice the coefficients here. If I take the coefficients 1 plus 4 minus a 5, does that give me 0? Well, it does. 1 plus 4 minus 5 is 0. That means that x equals 1 is a 0 for this polynomial. So we know that's a 0, so we could use synthetic division here and use x equals to 1. So in this problem, we're missing the x squared term, so we're going to have 1 for the x cubed, 0 for the x squared, 4 for the x, minus 5 for the constant, and we're going to use x equals to 1 and do synthetic division with this. So bring the first term down, which is 1, and then we multiply 1 times 1, which is 1, and then we add 0 plus 1, that's 1. Again, we multiply by 1, this is our multiplier here, so we multiply 1 times 1, you get 1, 4 plus 1 is 5, and then we multiply 1 times 5, and you get 5, and at this point you get 0, which means this is correct. That means x equals 1 is a 0, and that means that what we've done so far is correct. If you don't get a 0 here, then you made a mistake somewhere in this problem. So now we have, we started with x cubed, and we divided by x minus 1, so we now have x squared plus x plus 5 equals 0. So now we have a quadratic equation that we need to solve. And so how do we solve x squared plus x plus 5? Well, we can't factor that. So what we can do is maybe use a quadratic formula. X would be negative b, which would be negative 1. This is b. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, which would be 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times a is 1, times c, which is 5. All of that over 2a, 2 times 1, which is just 2. So I'm going to have 1 minus 4 times 1 times 5. This is 1 minus 20. 1 minus 20 is a negative 19. So I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of a negative 19, all that over 2. Well, the square root of a negative 19, this is the same thing as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 19. And the square root of a negative 1 is I. So what we really have here is I, make that a plus. Negative 1 plus or minus I squared of 19 over 2. And this would be the other two zeros, which would be complex zeros. So you have two complex imaginary zeros, and we have one real zero at x equals to 1. And so that will be the solution for this cubic equation. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe and make sure you hit the like button. If you like this kind of videos, we'll make some more, and smash the bell for more notifications. Thank you.